Have you ever experienced a week where everything is completely overwhelming and you don't know what to do? This week I don't have a script, but I am sharing directly from my heart because this week is going to be a week where, one, I put my fabulous dog to sleep, and two, my autistic son is having surgery. Now, when I tell you it's an overwhelming week, I'm being completely honest and speaking from the heart. The great thing is that what I do for a living allows me to have the kind of tools to be able to deal with this. Now, when it comes to my son having surgery, my son is 27 years old. As many of you know, he's severely autistic. And he's having brain surgery because over the last 2 years, he has experienced weight gain and increased immobility that didn't make any sense. We have lowered his portion sizes and he's lost some weight, but his immobility has continued to become worse and worse. He's had physical therapy come in, and we did that like a year ago. And then finally last year, we actually pushed along with the staff, and he went and had another assessment. So a neurologist came and saw him. He went and had an MRI, and they were able to see that there's a cyst in his brain between his left and right hemisphere. And they're thinking that that is the reason why he's lost so much of his mobility and actually some of his processing. So where you and I can think about something and go, this is the next sequence, and this is the next sequence, and this is the next sequence, he's very slow in it, which is something that he wasn't at before. So this week, he's actually going to have surgery. And I have so many mixed emotions about this because one of them is, of course, he's having surgery. That's always dangerous in whatever aspect it is. The surgery that he is having is actually rather common, and he happens to be in one of the best neurological hospitals in the world, and they're so good at doing this specific surgery. So with that, I have peace. But the thing that I struggle with are like my emotions, because we all know, because of what we talk about in this channel all the time, is that circumstances create thoughts, and thoughts create emotions and emotions and feelings create action and behavior. And although I've been really good about addressing my emotions and recognizing where is this coming from? Is this coming from that, horrible limiting belief that I tell myself that I'm not, a good mother because he's autistic, and all of these ridiculous things that I tell myself that aren't true? Or is all of this coming from a place of insecurity and unknown, which makes more sense, right? I mean, he's going into surgery, and even though we have things in place, like for example, in the hospital, we've spoken with the nursing staff, and they're going to clear out his entire room, because if any of you have special needs children, you can imagine with the daunting, overwhelming thought of even having your child in a hospital room with all the things that go into a hospital room. So they've been addressed, and they know what to expect, and that can be minimized to the best of his abilities. He also has medication to be able to calm him down if he does get super stressed while being in the hospital, because who's not going to be stressed being in the hospital under any circumstance, let alone when you're a special needs person. And then thirdly, his entire team and my husband and I have a very thorough plan, exactly what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and how to execute every single step of the way. And the beauty about having a plan is that it gives you something to deviate from, because just because we have a plan in place doesn't necessarily mean that the plan is going to be in force every step of the way. It gives you an ability to be able to pivot when something goes wrong, because you already have something kind of in place to go through it. So this week, as I reflect upon the difficulty of it, I am overwhelmed with the responsibility of being a mother, right? Being a woman, being a wife. We also have 4 children, so there's other children that we also speak with, even though they're adults, because Zachary's 27, the oldest one is 30, 27, 26, and we have a 23-year-old. So the aspect of being able to speak with everybody, and they're all adults, and be able to support them through their own moment, as well as being the mother and supporting myself in this moment, and having a great team that supports Zachary in the moment, but also having this overwhelming need to take care of, nurture everybody. It's something that women, we put in our heads to be able to take care of everybody. And this is where I feel overwhelmed. Because even though I know that everything's in place, and even though I know I have these tendencies, it's still, how do I put myself in a place of being accountable to saying, okay, this is what's going on right now. It's okay to feel the feelings, but you don't need to take care of everybody. You can actually just lean back and take care of yourself. You can actually be supportive of yourself and make sure that your son has everything in place, or your child has everything in place, without taking that inner chaos that we could say that you feel within yourself, because I feel inner chaos because I don't know what's going to happen. And because this is out in front of me and I have a plan as much as I can, there's that sense of the unknown, that sense of what happens next that I don't really know, makes me feel very chaotic inside. And because I have that feeling of chaos within myself, then I want to make sure that I micromanage every single moment that's on the outside. And that doesn't feel good either, because it does elicit these incredible, overwhelming sense of sadness and responsibility and uncertainty and fear that doesn't need to be. So what I've been able to do for myself over the course of since October, when my son actually started getting his MRI in place and seeing the neurologist and seeing the neurosurgeon and having this strategic plan in place with the physical therapist and the staff at his home and his apartment here that he lives in Malmö, all that is in place at the same time of being able to regulate myself and my emotions and recognizing what's my place and what can I support and how do I do that. And I've been able to do that by just using the tools of recognizing my circumstances create my thoughts create my emotions and feelings, and my emotions and feelings create my actions and behavior. So by being able to remember, are my thoughts getting away from me? Why? Is it because I'm afraid? Absolutely. Why am I afraid? Which addresses my emotions. And then it helps me come back to, okay, so my action and behavior in these moments when I feel afraid is to, take a couple of deep breaths and get relaxed, and then look at the big picture and recognize what exactly in these moments are triggering me, and then be able to use action and behavior to address that specific moment. Because of course there's going to be another one. And when I say of course there's going to be another one, in this week where my son is actually having surgery, we're also putting my Rhodesian to sleep. Now, my Rhodesian is the most amazing dog. He's 9 years old. He's been my constant companion through having stepchildren and moving to another country and putting a family together, because that's what happens when you have two humans that have been married before and have children. You bring them together, and that's a whole moment that we can talk about during our time together, but it's not going to be today. So my dog King has been the constant supportive companion, that he's been next to me and just loving and helps me to get outside and get those big walks whenever I'm feeling really stressed, and it's just comforting, and it's just a companion. And the idea of having someone that you love so much, this being that's part of your family, and putting him to sleep, like literally scheduling to euthanize him, I had a big problem with this week, because how do you know when it's time? How do you know if maybe he feels a little bit better if you do something else, that he can stay alive for a little bit longer? And how do you play God? Really, that's the question, with another being. And my husband gave me this really great insight. And he says, there's a big difference between our children and another human being and feeling that pressure of feeling like a God over their life, whether they live or die, versus having one of our animals. Because our animals, we bring them into our life. They are our companions, and they also trust us to feed them. Because if we're really honest, when you have a dog, they're basically like 6-month-old children forever, because you feed them, you take them out to the bathroom. If they get sick, you take care of them. They're completely dependent within you and the family structure to take care of them. So when it comes to a point in life when they actually aren't feeling well, it's important to give them the integrity and the honor and the love that they gave to you by being able to make that hard decision, not for the benefit of you, but for the benefit of your animal as its own being, and making sure that they go out with integrity to the best of your abilities, right? And that's what made me kind of switch my mindset when it came to, here's this animal, yes, but it's a part of our family, and he's been with us for 9 years, and he's amazing, and he's been such a constant source of love and companionship in my life for 9 years, and now he needs me to show him the kind of love and the kind of integrity that he needs in order to be able to have a life that's to the best of his ability and our ability to ensure that he has that safe space, if that makes any sense. So this week, it's really important in our everyday life when you're experiencing these incredible moments of sadness and you're in a place where you don't know what to do or how to do it. It's important to just stop and reflect upon what is it that's going on at this moment in time, and what do I want to happen out of this moment in time, and having that ability to be self-reflective and recognize who is it of you that's showing up in this moment, and say, what is the best decision I can make with what I know now moving forward? And then creating that plan in your mind or writing it down in your notebook and taking the first actionable step. And once you take that actionable step and you complete it, then you take the next actionable step and you complete it until you're actually able to get from where you are to where you want to be. And when you do this with every single individual situation and break it down in that way, it doesn't become so overwhelming. Of course, it's important to recognize that this is a challenge that's in front of me, right? And when you think of the theory of what helps us navigate life, is that circumstances create thoughts. Thoughts create emotions and feelings. Emotions and feelings create actions and behavior. Each and every one of us experiences multiple challenges or situations throughout every day or every week or every month. Take it down and look at the challenge of situation, and just because there's a thought there doesn't mean you need to engage. It's just, this is what's coming up for me right now. And just because there's an emotion there, it doesn't mean that you need to engage. You could acknowledge it, because your emotions, they always go, mira, mira. Do you see that there's something here that we need to be taking care of? Because our circumstances create thoughts. Our thoughts create emotions. So when you're feeling these thoughts and these emotions that are taking over, because it elicits this fear response in you, because there's a challenge in front of you and you don't know what to do with it, it's completely normal. It's completely normal. The thing is, in this moment, you focus on circumstances, thoughts, emotions and feelings, what is the action that I'm going to use in this moment that's going to help me take this challenge, look at it for the reality that it is, and get from where I am to where I want to be. It's okay to feel the emotions. It's okay to have the thoughts. Just don't lean into it in such a place that the fear freezes you from taking an action. So in this week, that is a hellacious week, that I have been crying for a couple of weeks and I've been so in my feelings and I have been thinking all kind of things, it did not prevent me from actually still having that plan to think, okay, with my son, he's gained weight over the last 2 years, because this is how long the process has been. He's gained weight over the last 2 years. He has decreased mobility significantly over the last 2 years. Now when he's talking, he slurs almost like a person who's had a stroke, or the processing is really difficult for him. It's very slow. And these are not things that were natural to him to begin with. So recognizing that, what do we do next? These circumstances within this big challenge are getting worse. So the big challenge is he is not where he needs to be. Why? Because he's gained a lot of weight and he's losing his mobility. And the question is why? And how do we get the information? You go to the doctor, and then you go to the general doctor, and he says he needs to go to a neurologist. Why? Because his mobility and his weight issues are a symptom of something else, and we must understand and discover what it is. And then from that moment, then you go see, we saw the neurologist. And the neurologist said, let's get some information, let's get some MRIs, let's get some testing done, so we have more information to exactly pinpoint why is he gaining weight, and why is he losing his mobility, and why is he now starting to not be clear in his thought process. And in the process of the last 2 years, he's also become incontinent, which is also a symptom of what's going on. So when we were able to speak with the neurosurgeon, he was saying these are classic examples of what happens when this part of the brain is engaged and there's a cyst there. So when we remove the cyst, God willing, then he'll be able to have his mobility come back, he'll be able to hold his bladder, because up until now he's been rather incontinent because it's a symptom of this cyst pressing on his brain. And this week, all of that, God willing, they'll remove the cyst, and slowly and surely, he'll be able to pivot in some way. We have physical therapy in place to help him post-surgical recovery, like in 10 days, and start doing physical therapy to start getting the mobility back. And within then, we'll be able to see if the incontinence corrects itself. And in that process, over the next 3 to 6 months, we'll be able to see if he'll be able to have the process of thought as he did before. All this to say that every one of us experience challenges and situations that sometimes aren't nice, and they're rather disparaging and makes you feel like you don't know what the next step is. When we focus on circumstances create thoughts, and thoughts create emotions and feelings, and emotions and feelings create actions and behavior, it gives you a little sense of, I am in control of what happens in my life, because every time a challenge or a situation happens, this is what each and every one of us go through. A circumstance or a challenge pops up, there's going to be a thought. And just because there's a thought, it doesn't mean that you need to engage. And those thoughts create emotions and feelings. And emotions and feelings are what most of us get stuck in, that prevent us from moving forward, because it's the fear within us, the fear of not knowing what to do next, that fear of the unknown that keeps you stuck in that moment. And when you recognize this formula, the theory of circumstances create thoughts, thoughts create emotions and feelings create action and behavior, it helps you feel more in control of, just because there's an action here, just because there's a situation here or a challenge here, doesn't mean that I can't be self-reflective and be accountable to myself and be responsible to myself and look at the situation for the reality of what it is. Regardless of what my thoughts say, regardless of what my emotions lead me to, I can always come back to recognize every single challenge I live and deal with in life has a thought, has an emotion, and has an action and behavior. And it's up to you and me as individuals to go, now that I'm in this moment in time, I can hold myself accountable. I can be honest to myself, and I can be reliable and responsible to get me from this moment in time to where I want to be. And that's self-reflection, and that's awareness. And all of that is part of that same process. So when you have a challenge, you know there's always going to be a thought, there's always going to be an emotion, and it's up to us which action and behavior we're going to choose to get us from this challenging moment to being solution focused and getting to where we want to be in life. So I trust that by sharing this incredibly challenging week, that you guys can also recognize that each and every one of us experience challenges every single day. And those moments are just part of the journey of life. And those moments turn into experiences. Those experiences are wisdom. And the moments and experiences and wisdom are a culmination of what drives us forward in living the most magnificent life. Because we learn a lesson. We learn something every single time we push through a challenge or a circumstance. I trust that by sharing this information about my son having surgery, being a hellacious week, along with putting my dog to sleep with the same principle, right? Of recognizing that euthanizing an animal, it's the responsibility of the owner, because the dog or the cat or the rabbit or the bird trust in you completely to take care of it. So in having that conversation with ourselves about caring for our animals is ensuring that they're able to live with integrity, just as you and I are. So making that hard decision is overwhelming, but I trust that it's in the best interest of him having the quality of life that he deserves for all the love and selflessness that he's given me. So as you move forward in life, remember this, that every single challenge has a circumstance, has a thought, has an emotion, and has an action and behavior that you are in complete control of. That's what helps you to be accountable to yourself. That's what helps you to be vulnerable to the reality of the situation and being responsible to yourself and getting you from where you are to where you want to be. Use these tools in good health. I'm grateful that you allow me to be part of your wellness journey. And every time that you use these wonderful theory of circumstances creating thoughts, thoughts creating emotions and feelings creating action and behavior for you, that you write it down in the comments below and share with me and share with our community how it worked out for you, what you learned about yourself, and how you can really see that you're gaining confidence by understanding that you are in complete control with every single situation that's in your life. So the way that I shared my 2 situations this week, share with me below. And we'll have this whole building up of our community and being supportive and loving with each other. So, every Thursday I post a new video. And when you go to my website, vanessaleecurley.com, I have a blog there as well. And you can always read it. And in the future, I'll be putting in a subscription membership site where we can actually go in deeper and have more information in which only you, my wonderful community, has access to. So next Thursday, we post. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next one.